Good evening and welcome to Sports Overtime. We are here in our digital studio. You can watch Southeast Sports Plus Monday to Friday, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We spent this past week previewing a lot of great games in and around college football and basketball with our friends from Nexstar Nation. Here's the best of. We have another familiar face
Yes, we do.
back on the show today.
Only one person that could join us to break down this news.
100%. Our very own Simone Eli joining us at New York's very own.
What's up?
Over there.
Oh my
in
gosh, I can cry
PIX.
right now. I'm in like the guest box. I'm in the guest box.
I know, guest box.
I hate this.
As we constructed the show, we were coming up with names for all these titles, and here you are in the guest box.
I'm in the guest box. I was fully anticipating it being like our normal, three of us right across, as it was back in the day. And I'm like, here I am in the guest box. So I guess that's just what happens when I leave. So good to see everybody. How are you guys? Happy Thursday.
Good. How are you? You're kind of in the hotbed of football right now because the Giants and the Jets said, number one, they have, obviously great draft picks coming up to help build their futures. But then also now you have a situation where you have a new head coach there with the Giants, a program that has had a lot of coaches here since Tom Coughlin. They've had 5 or 6 coaches. Rattle them all.
It's been ridiculous.
But now Brian Daboll's gone. And it looks like Jim Harbaugh is in. What's the initial reaction over there, being able to get a guy with his pedigree?
Yeah, the initial reaction is complete elation. Everybody in this entire franchise, anyone that cheers for this team, everyone in this city, unless you're a Jets fan, is thrilled over the fact that John Harbaugh spent yesterday here in New York, or in New Jersey, I should say, technically, and then went out to a nice restaurant and was here late into the night. And then that resulted, of course, in the Adam Schefter breaking the news at about 11:45 last night that, John Harbaugh and the Giants are finalizing a deal. And when it comes to how big of a deal this is to this franchise, I don't think it can be overstated. I think that not only is this an A+ hire, it's a home run hire. We're talking about a guy who spent 18 years with the Ravens, and we just don't see it happen anymore. I think that we just saw obviously the top Mike Tomlin news. I think he was there for 19 years with the Steelers, and you look at the resume right there, guys, that he's a proven winner. He's got that CEO disciplinary type mentality, and you need that right now because you have a lot of young and raw talent, but this franchise needs somebody who's going to dial it in when it comes to what's happening behind the scenes, and hopefully that will result to wins on the field as well.
You brought up Sam Levitt, and he is presumably going to be the starter. Obviously, the story coming out about how Kiffin went up to Knoxville, basically said, no, you're coming back here, and then just took him back with him. But I know there are some concerns about his foot injury. If Levitt were to go down, is it going to be Hussein Longstreet, or is Landon Clark going to be that number 2?
The other thing is, Landon Clark gave an interview on sports radio here in Baton Rouge that was just like, nah, man, I'm going to compete. I got this. And look, the guy put up 3,000 yards last year. So you can't be, and I watched him play against Duke. He was good against Duke.
I watched this dude throw an 80-yard pass in the air.
Yeah. And he's a dual threat too. And so who's not to say that he's not the next Trinidad Chambliss?
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
To your guys' point, 4 days ago, had Emil Picarella. And I love Emil Picarella. We know some of his family. He went to U High, so he went to high school on campus of LSU. He spun it in high school. Yeah. He's not your starting quarterback in college, at LSU. It's just not. And so you went from, a non-scholarship quarterback to now 3 who you could make the case are going to play next year. So you brought up the Liz Frank injury, obviously Sam Levitt, he's recovering from that. We had Brandon Taylor, famed defensive back, went on to play in the NFL here at LSU. He talked about his Liz Frank injury and how it was basically a 6 full months until he really felt like he was him again. And so, spring ball will be about 4 months for Sam. You can go through some drills, without really having to do too much with the foot, and then be just fine for summer workouts, getting on the same page with your wide receivers. That's the optimistic view, obviously, for any LSU fan, is Sam is ready to go here by July. You get with the receivers, you're ready for fall camp, and you go in headstrong there for the fall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you were to break down what LSU can be next year, and I know it's January, and I know it's early, it's setting up from a talent perspective,
Yeah.
Brian, just from a talent perspective,
Yep.
it's setting up. Let's just say it's 12 teams again. Let's say the committee can't decide. I think if it's 16, you can all but guarantee they're in. But if it's 12 again next year, it is setting up that this team can at least be one of the 4 or 5 SEC teams in the college football playoff. Is that too much of a stretch? Is that too much, too fast?
I knew where you were leading me this entire time. And I'm like, how do I get to this? And I keep flashing back to, it was the off season after 2019, and I'm doing one of these shows, right? And so they go, can LSU reload? And I'm like, yeah. Have you seen the guys that are on the page?
Right.
They're on the roster?
Yeah.
Like all of them are 4 and 5 star. This is LSU. You can just replenish. It's a completely new year, and I hate that clip lives out there. It's probably on just YouTube somewhere. But I hate that somehow exists and that I look like that guy. He's like, yeah, it's LSU, of course.
Final topic, let's talk a little football here. The transfer portal has been really hot. I know Cam Coleman paid a visit over there, the top wide receiver. He ends up signing at Texas. However, they get a receiver from Alabama, another receiver from Alabama, and Isaiah Horton, who had a really strong close to the season in the regular season in that game against Auburn in the Iron Bowl, scoring 3 touchdowns. What does Aggie Nation feel about being able to get that receiver out of Alabama, and what they need to do maybe over the next couple of days to secure a strong portal class?
Yeah, I think the transfer portal taketh and the transfer portal also giveth. I think a lot of Aggie fans maybe were feeling a little disheartened after not getting Cam Coleman. This is the second time. I mean, they recruited him out of high school also and did not get Cam Coleman. So I think not getting him and then losing him to your biggest rival certainly had put a sour taste in a lot of Aggie fans' mouths. But then you pick Isaiah Horton out of Alabama, who is that big wide receiver with that frame that can go up and get those contested one-on-one balls on the outside. And that's something that they didn't have last year, even with Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver. They had the guys to generate space on the outside, but maybe not the height or the physicality to go up and get those balls. And that's something that you saw in the Miami game, not being able to separate, something you saw in the Texas game, not being able to separate from those wide receivers and the cornerbacks that were playing down and kind of giving Marcel Reed the space to see if he'll make those deep contested throws. And honestly, I think that this really provides them a great weapon, but they need to add more. They don't have Concepcion right now unless Mario Craver's going to go and step into that role. Right. So a lot of different skill position players. They've done well adding offensive line talent. A lot of SEC starters have transferred into the program. I think they really have to bolster the defensive side of the ball, which is something that I'm sure we'll see from Mike Elko in the coming days.
Well, we'll hit on the other school that's actually in Waco, and I don't remember seeing a situation unfold quite like this where DJ Lagway, it's like the whole thing with DJ Lagway, and I said this, it's like you're dating someone and you want to be committed, but he's like, you know what, actually let me go test the waters a little bit more. I'm committed to you, but I also want to value my options a little bit in other areas. I never understood it. But as far as I know, he's officially committed to Baylor, so there's no more visits going on. Or can you provide some clarity on that?
Yeah, that's where we're at right now. Okay. I guess we're at where the options of the other girls on the side are off the table. But Ole Miss is already taken. They're in a committed relationship. So I think it was a really weird scenario, though, and I think that's not just for people. I'm glad to hear that from somebody not in the Waco area say that. It's
so
because
weird.
From the outside looking in, this is a guy that his dad went to Baylor, played at Baylor, went on his official visit to the Baylor men's basketball game, which they ended up losing to Iowa State, but apparently liked his visit enough.
What's up with quarterbacks? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but what's up with quarterbacks going to basketball games and then just ended up losing? Like, what is going on?
Is that a new thing?
I think it might be. Like, what are we doing?
And that you see it right here. He looked like he was having a great time, and I think it was a big get for Baylor, for a Baylor transfer portal class that really hasn't been performing as well as many thought,
right.
Especially after losing a lot in the transfer portal. They really hadn't been gaining a lot. So when they get DJ Lagway, that transfer class jumped all the way to 24th in the country overall. And then there's some hesitancy whether he's going to stick with Baylor. I think that was just Baylor fans saying, oh, here we go again. But now they're really, he's committed, he's locked in. And I guess once pen gets put to paper, then it's officially official.
Stay with us here on Sports Overtime. And remember, you can watch our show, Southeast Sports Plus, from 2 to 4 o'clock on the free WKRG Plus app. You can find us on your Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV device.
Well, I mean, you talked about how they look a lot better at home. They're undefeated at home, but it's when they play those road games, they have yet to win a road game. So, I mean, that's where the struggle is, and you're not going to really have any success. I find it interesting, though, that the net rankings really haven't punished them that much. I believe that they sit at 27 right now. And they're still ranked, which is
still ranked.
I don't know.
They dropped out of the coaches poll. I don't know. I think it's hard to judge this team because they've had really dominating performances and looked good against good teams. If you go back to that, early in Vegas beating Houston, and then they looked dominant against Texas. They've had these dominant performances. Obviously, that win against Louisville was great. I mean, but then you turn around and you have these games that they look completely different. So I think it's hard to figure this team out right now. They do have a lot of big games coming up. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, you can't just be good at home. Unfortunately, March Madness is not played on your home court, so it's going to be a short run if you can't figure out how to play on the road and how to win on the road.
Is it time to panic? It seems like no, not yet. Still early?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think it's still early.
Okay.
I have a lot of belief in Barnes. His teams always seem to peak at the right time. I feel like I've been here. This is my third season covering Tennessee basketball, and there's always been these blips where you start to freak out. It actually happened against Florida 2 years ago, was it, when they were at Florida? Or no, last year at Florida, and they had a terrible performance. I think they were held to what? It was like a season low. I think they were held to like under 30 points in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it was a bad performance. And then Florida came to Knoxville, and Tennessee destroyed the Gators, and they were down 3 starters. So. Again, but that just reinforces the at home. Obviously, this is a rowdy environment, a great crowd at the Food City Center. But again, you got to be able to win on the road. Tonight, we're not going to really get an answer to that with Tennessee hosting Texas A&M, and then they host Kentucky this weekend, which will be a big game. But you got to win these two, right? You're at home. You got to win these two. You can't have any blips, and then get back on the road and try to pick up a good road win just to get the confidence going and everything like that. Because, there are some, doubters right now. I'm not one of them, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. So these 2 home games, big road games against Alabama and Georgia, 2 really good SEC teams. So that will be the test. The week of the 24th will be the test.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get your take on what lies ahead tonight here in a second. But first, to your overall point about inconsistency, Coach Rick Barnes talks about that with his squad and trying to get more consistent.
We need more consistency from our front line, probably as much as anything. And that's not just scoring. That's being where you need to be on ball screen defense, because oftentimes Jacoby's in those screens more than anybody, and he's having to work really hard on the offensive end. And then the other area is our other guards, because when other teams put our other guards in position, they're going to have to handle the ball more than maybe they're used to. Are they going to make the right decisions? Are they going to get us organized when teams are just flat out taking Jacoby out? And we've talked about that. I mean, we told him almost every game going in how the other team's going to play us based on what we know about them. And so there's a lot of little things, but can be big things if we don't see it. And but it's that's a great question, and I don't have an answer to it right now, because when I ask them that question, what do you think their answer is? I don't know. And that's probably, I don't understand it either. For as much as we talk about it, as much as we And I know we got a group of guys that care, but all I can tell you in the end, I tell them that if they don't fix it, is because they really don't care, because it's right there. I mean, there's no question about it, and it'll always come back to your training, your preparation, the process you go through. If you don't do it every single day and understand it, it's simple. You got to get better every day.
Number one, it's good to have you on. Good to see you again here in this new year. It's the first time chatting since we've turned the calendar to 2026 and conference play has started with both the men's and women's basketball teams. We'll start with the men. Yesterday or Saturday of the weekend, losing the game to Georgia. But overall, through the first few games here of conference play, what have you seen from this team and some of the ways that they can build and improve as the year goes along?
Yeah, well, you saying 2026, first of all, sounds crazy to me. It's like rattling my brain still, like noggin school, so I don't have to write it, but it sounds weird. But no, with the Gamecocks, you can see a group of players that is really just fighting and trying hard to make anything happen, to pull out any kind of, meaningful wins. And they definitely got close in that game against Georgia. But as we saw at the end, had a tough time just making those shots fall down the stretch and making the plays that they need to make at the end to be able to pull out those wins. So still a lot of hope, I think, within the program. There's things that they're doing that, give you confidence that maybe down the stretch they can pull something out. But at this time, I just see a team that is really scrapping and trying to pull out all the stops to just figure out how to win games at this point.
The good news for Lamont Paris and crew is that you've already gotten halfway to your SEC win total of last year in just 3 games.
There you go.
So, I mean, there is something there to build on. But, I take a look at some of these games. I think they played Vanderbilt pretty close. Obviously, the Georgia game, it was also played pretty close.
Right.
Can we expect them to build upon this? Do you expect them to eventually be better than the team that was out there last year?
I do. And, sometimes you got to go through those dog days to be able to find, the diamond in the rough, per se, and, just find ways to end up on top. And again, find ways to win. You kind of have to learn how to win, especially in the SEC. And so I think the Georgia game definitely did give us hope in seeing a team that leads the nation in scoring. I think they average over 96 points per game, Georgia does. Mm-hmm. And so to be able to hold them well below that to just 75 points is a great thing to see from the Gamecocks, and just add something that they can build upon as the season goes on.
Stay with us here on Sports Overtime. And remember, you can watch our show, Southeast Sports Plus, from 2 to 4 o'clock on the free WKRG Plus app. You can find us on your Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV device. Let's now move on to a little bit of lighter news here. The College Football Hall of Fame is now out. We knew that there would be guys that are tied to the SEC that would make their way into the Hall of Fame. A couple have, a couple didn't, that I was actually really surprised by. Yeah. We will talk about the ones that are going into the Hall of Fame, led by Heisman Trophy winner and former Alabama great Mark Ingram. And this is, to me, when I think about the start of Nick Saban's dynasty, he's the first player that comes to mind. And of course, he ended up going to the NFL, played for the 49ers, played a little bit played with the New Orleans Saints there as well. But there's Garrison Hurst, who also is in there as well, played for the 49ers and ties there to the SEC. I think that this is obviously, whenever you win a Heisman Trophy, you think that you're probably on the doorstep of making the College Football Hall of Fame as the best player. But to me, Mark Ingram just represents so much. And so it's good to see him and Garrison in.
Yeah, and I feel like for Mark Ingram, this is a little bit overdue. I mean, this is a guy, as you mentioned, that I signify with the beginning of that Nick Saban dynasty there at Alabama. And when you talk about that 2009 year, I mean, goodness. Led the SEC in rush yards and total touchdowns with 20. He's the 2009 Heisman Trophy winner. He's the first Bama player to win the award, and he was drafted in the first round by New Orleans, a 3-time Pro Bowler. I mean, I don't know. I think this was overdue. In my opinion.
Oh, yeah. The 2009 Heisman Trophy winner. I think, obviously, when we talk about college football, it's a wide scope. And so the guys that are not on the list is actually pretty impressive as well. Like Cam Newton is not in as well, and he won the Heisman Trophy the very next year. So maybe they'll go into the Hall of Fame the very next year as well. But there's a lot of guys that made a huge impact on college football that are not in this thing. But congratulations to Mark Ingram. That's our show tonight. Remember, you can watch Southeast Sports Plus Monday to Friday from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock on the free WKRG Plus app. Catch us on your Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV device. Good night.